Hi, and welcome to today's panel. Thank you for that introduction. So I'm Manny, and I run the Philippine office of Endeavor, which is a nonprofit focused on lifting up economies by scaling up a specific kind of entrepreneur that we call a high-impact entrepreneur. And those in turn are entrepreneurs with the best ideas, the ability to turn ideas into reality, and I would say most importantly, they pay it forward by mentoring other entrepreneurs, by sharing their networks with other entrepreneurs, by investing in other entrepreneurs. And the common thread of this panel is that all of our entrepreneurs today are Endeavor entrepreneurs. We have Ray and Gibran from Endeavor Indonesia and Richard Eldridge from Endeavor Philippines. So to kick off, I just want to start by asking you to introduce yourselves, right? The specific question would be, what do you do and why do you do what you do? And where are you now in your journey? So perhaps let's just go alphabetically. Gibran, tell us what do you do and why you do it?
Yeah, thanks, Manny. Hi, everyone. I'm Gibran, CEO and co-founder of eFishery. I think I'll start on why I do it. And when I was in college in 2009, I was very struck by the potential of aquaculture. I attended a class called aquaculture, and after that class, I opened my first fish farm. So from 1 pond to 76 pond when I was graduated in 2012. And I realized that this is a massive industry and can be helping the food security in Indonesia. And we have like millions of farmers and tens of millions of fish ponds. And that's when I started building eFishery. So it started off as an IoT to feed the fish automatically and sense the fish appetite and adjust the amount of it given with the appetite and sends the data to the cloud. But right now it's built to more like an end-to-end ecosystem. We're leveraging the data. So we're currently selling the feed to the farmers. We're also creating some kind of credit scoring. So we work with the banks and providing the loan to fish farmers. And then we also help the farmers to uptake the fish and sell it to the restaurants and the end consumers. So that's what I do. It's all related to fishy. So it's a fishy business.
So you're the fish man.
I'm the fish guy, yes.
You're the fish guy. And where are you now in your journey? Where are you with this?
So we're currently serving like more than 8,000 farmers all across Indonesia and more than 50,000 ponds. We're in 24 provinces and 300 cities and rural area, again, all across Indonesia. We're currently also doing a pilot in Vietnam, Thailand, India, and Bangladesh. So we'll be expanding to regionally to other countries in Asia Pacific pretty soon. And Philippines will be the next.
All right. Well, we are waiting with open arms. Next up, why don't we go with Ray? Ray, tell us what you do, why you do it, and where you are in your journey.
Yep. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Ray. I'm the founder and CEO of Snapcart. My journey, when I started my career, I was a salesman. I'm selling shampoo, baby diapers, Vaporub to really small stores, wet markets and so on. And I felt the pain on how to really get real-time data as a brand owner. So our goal at Snapcart is to connect brands and customers through real-time data and purchase attribution. So we develop and apply proprietary machine learning technologies where our approach requires us to collect billions of unstructured data. And some of those data points are in the form of receipts data that are very known to be very challenging to decipher. Through the technology that we've built, we're able to process this unstructured data 100% automated within just seconds right now. So it enables us to convert these data points into value-added services in the form of analytics, attributions, engagements, even optimizations of spans for our clients in sectors such as consumer goods, telco, electronics, F&B, and other sectors. So right now we have more than 75 clients onboarded. And we've passed our phase 1 growth to develop the technology that we need to be efficient and scalable. So the company is right now in the phase of distributing our technology to different platforms and partners so that we can further penetrate more brands, democratize our services to even small, medium enterprises. And our mantra has been, since 2019 to reach sustainability of the business, which we are close to reach right now. So very hopeful we're able to do this within the near future.
Okay, cool. I actually think we might need your help. We have too many receipts lying on the floor in the office. I'll give you a call. Okay, next up we have Richard. Now, Richard, you're such a serial entrepreneur. I think we'd actually need an hour for us to talk about everything you do. But so I'll leave it up to you to decide which of the many things you do you want to talk about.
Sure. Hi, Manny. Hi, everyone. Great to be with you today. So why do I do what I do? I think I've been through many ups and downs in my life, having been an entrepreneur for about 15 years now. My latest journey has been about giving back. And actually today I'm very passionate around two things. One is solving some of the world's biggest problems, specifically focused on the Southeast Asia region. And number two, with regard to mentoring startup founders and helping them along the journey. So what I do today is I run a company. We mentor and invest in social impact for-profit startups across the region. And we provide them some support to hopefully fulfill the dreams and solve some of the big issues that are existing in the region, from fintech, health tech, agri-tech, edutech.
Fantastic. Paying it forward, as always, Richard. Thank you very much. So the topic of today's panel is leadership during turbulent times. And I love this topic because I think it's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? Every day is supposed to be turbulent. Of course, some days more than others. And it's actually during these stormy times, right? These are defining moments for entrepreneur leaders, right? Because as a leader, you can either crash your boat into the rocks during the storm, or you can navigate your way to safety, right? As the founder of Endeavor, Linda Rodenberg always likes to say, when economies turn down, entrepreneurs turn up, right? And so I think for the remainder of the session, I really would like to focus on two words, right? Two things that we expect of all of our entrepreneurs in Endeavor. The first thing is crazy, right? I'd like you to share something that you did that was crazy, right? Crazy is all about thinking big, thinking different, right? And if people aren't calling you crazy, you're probably not thinking big enough or differently enough, right? So that's the first word we'll focus on. The second word we'll focus on is the impact, right? This is about making a difference in the lives of others. And I always like to say, you can never be too busy, anxious, or too tired to help lift other people up. So let's start with the first one, crazy, right? Share with me something crazy that you did to get through this crisis. So Gibran, we'll go in the same order. Share with me your crazy moment.
Okay, sure. I don't know whether it's crazy enough, but I think when we closed the round in 2018, around June 2018, with my board and my co-founder, we tried to brainstorm what we want to do in the company for the future, for the next 18 months until we raise the next round, the Series B round. And I pitched an idea that we should be profitable. We should be profitable in 2018 and 2019. And the main reason why we should be profitable is crazy. We just had money and we're still like a post-Series A company. We shouldn't be profitable. I mean, we should like grow as fast as possible and burn a lot of money, just like any other startups does. But I said, no, we should be profitable. The main reason is because we have to be profitable in 2018 and 2019. It's because in 2020, I predict that it will be economic crisis. So a biology graduate that handling fish was predicting that there will be some economic crisis in 2020, which sounds crazy. But the board bought it, and then we saw that this is because the business has a strong unit economics and stuff. And then that's what happened. We still grew like 3x in 2018 and also 4x in 2019, but ended the year with the EBITDA positive, which is great. And then we started going back shopping to the Series B round in February, and COVID happened. And fortunately enough, with the COVID happened, and the case of like larger startups that burn a lot of money that doesn't really create value for the investors, somehow the appetite of the investors changed, and the profitability is the hard thing for those investors. And then a lot of investors, including the big ones, are flocking us during crisis, simply because like we're quite in a niche area that during crisis people actually will eat more fish because they can't really afford to buy meat and chicken and fish in Indonesia. It's actually the cheaper animal protein source. But it's also because in the last 2 years we were profitable. Then we were able to close the round in the middle of COVID.
So that crazy idea you had from 2017 or whenever it was you launched turned into a not so crazy thing in 2020. But then you did a crazy thing, which was you started a fundraise in February, right? And you got a Series B closed in the middle of this crisis. That's terrific. Okay, I'll move to you, Ray. Tell me your crazy story.
I mean, Manny and I think the guys here in the call, I think we believe that in challenging times like what we experienced in COVID, the founders of the company play a very critical role, right, to ensure the company's morale is managed well, find ways to survive. And there are a couple of times where Snapcart was in a dire situation which require crazy, quote unquote, interventions from the founders. I have two examples, but I'm just going to share one particular decision, which was quite controversial at the time. Again, because of the situation, there's this huge imbalance of revenues coming in from the brands because brands are cutting their budgets. At the same time, we also experienced this huge influx of receipts into our platform because a lot of customers are trying to get the cash back to get more saving from their daily purchases, right? So we're in a state where we haven't really reached the level of automation that we need. We can maybe process 10,000, 20,000 receipts, but then looking at the number of receipts coming in, we're looking at millions of receipts that needs to be processed, right? So given the situation, I decided that we should put our efforts to focus in optimizing our tech to increase the level of automation that we used to have 60% to up to 100%. So that's a pretty huge jump when it comes to looking at automation. It's a Herculean initiative since we need to deal with more than 400 machine learning algorithms. And we do need to require someone who can really disassemble and simplify our platforms with speed. Someone who understands Snapcart inside out, is equipped with the right domain expertise that our clients have, has solid product prowess, and able to ensure that the vision is in line with whatever initiatives that we're going to do. Time was against us. It was very difficult for us to find the right profile ASAP. And then we realized, hey, you know what? We do have someone in-house that can take that responsibility, right? But the catch was that someone at the time was the CEO. So it was me. So it was decided then, my decision and the team's decision for me to step down as CEO and move myself into product so that we managed to turn around the situation within 3 months' time. I stayed in product until the board asked me to go back to CEO, of course. But again, believe the decision was made easier because of the solid trust that we have as a team. And again, it was the right decision to be made.
Are you married?
I recently married. So this year on that brink of gateway of COVID situation, so I was able to marry my wife.
I was going to say, right? Could you imagine coming home the day you decided to step down? Honey, guess what? I got a demotion. Anyway, thank you for sharing that story. I mean, that is. I have to say, I've never heard that story before, and I think that's something that the audience should bear in mind. What you said earlier at the beginning was, this is a moment where you play a critical role in keeping everything together. So kudos to you for, in a sense, falling on your sword to keep everything afloat. Let's turn to Richard. Richard, what's your crazy story?
Yes, so obviously there have been a few that I could share. The one that I thought would be useful to share, but the one I thought would be most useful and interesting to share, I'm the chairman and I co-founded a business called Infinido in 2005. They have about 700 people. At the time COVID hit, they were in 5 different offices in 3 different buildings in 3 cities across the Philippines. The way the shutdown happened in the Philippines was probably not the most organized in the world, where the president had said we will have a slow shutdown, but within 2 days he had decided to make it a full shutdown where you could not leave your house. We at that time had been planning in the company to probably get around 10% of that workforce by the end of 2020 being able to work remotely. But that changed in 3 days to us moving basically 700 people, all work from home within 3 days. I think it's a great sign of how the team came to work together, how they overcame, massive challenges from the individual employees, the team managers, the whole executive team. We were out working 20 hours a day, not only help making sure that the people were safe with the logistics to get the computers working remotely, but also making sure we have the connectivity and we're able at the end of it to have 100% coverage for all of the clients. And we continue to do so today. So pretty amazing story. And it, like you said, it pushes you and the team to do things that were unimaginable before.
So I will have to agree that is pretty crazy, right? Getting 100% of people to work from home in a market where our connectivity is sometimes a bit of a crapshoot, right? So kudos to you. And what I do know is that the big, sort of US outsourcing companies, most of them for most of the pandemic couldn't even go beyond 50% work from home, right? So kudos to you. Okay, let's shift gears now and let's talk about the word that I'm excited about, right? Which is impact, right? Because what we've seen throughout this crisis is, a lot of you guys busy trying to keep your business afloat, but at the same time, never forgetting that there are other people out there that you can help. Right, so I'd like to focus on the word impact. And the question is, share with us something that you did that you think made impact in the midst of all this turbulence. So Gibran, why don't we start with you?
Sure. The story is again related to fish. During the COVID, consumption of fish is high, as I was explaining. But the challenge is most of the consumption was done through the restaurants and the small food vendors. So in Indonesia, if you go to Indonesia, you can go in the side of the road. There are people selling fish like pecel lele, what we call it, right? So the catfish and some small food vendors. So that's actually how people consume the fish. And during the lockdown in March, it's all closed. And the thing about the fish supply chain, we have to sell it alive. So even the fish food vendors, they have to buy it alive and sometimes kill it in front of you to show that it's actually a fresh fish that they cook. So that would be the lockdown will create problems for the fish farmers, because then the fish farmers need to harvest their fish, and then if they delay the harvest of the fish will be getting big and they can't sell it. So the middlemen who used to buy it to the farmers stopped buying fish to the farmers. So farmers don't make any money. They can't sell the fish because the middlemen can buy it and because the restaurants get a lockdown. But interestingly, like in the consumption level, on all of the research, the consumption of fish is actually high. So we will have like this kind of quite a unique situation where the supply chain is broken because it's handled by the live fish, and the restaurants are closing down, but the farmers has an oversupply stocks. So what we did to have that, because we also have a business to sell the fish to the restaurants, it was also impacted when the restaurants are closing down. But our business is definitely impacted when the farmers can sell their fish, because they don't have any money to buy feed from us or to pay any technology services that we offer to them. So we solve it by trying to reinventing the value chain in a way. Because most of the consumers usually consume fish, buy the fish alive. We then, during the COVID, like the whole consumption is changed a bit. They eat a lot of frozen food. They cook more at home. So that's what we do. We buy the fish from the farmers. We work with the processing companies, which also impacted, to do some fillet, to process the fish. But we also brand it with the restaurant company that was impacted, so they can generate revenue. But the fans of the restaurants already know that they want to buy with the seasoning, with the sambal that they have, and then we package it and sell it to the consumers, and consumer can just cook it. And then we create like a new line of businesses, but impacting the restaurants, so the restaurants can still sell and generate revenue through this new line of SKUs of frozen fish, seasoned frozen fish, and the farmers can still get the new channels. And then along the way, hopefully we will be educating and changing the supply chain from a live chain to a cold chain that will sustaining the sector even further.
That's terrific. Keeping the restaurants alive, keeping the fishermen alive, keeping people fed. That is real impact. So congrats on that, Gibran. Ray, let's talk. Let's go to you. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left, so let's divide this accordingly. So Ray, you're next.
Yeah, I mean, I see impact based on 3 stakeholders that I usually see, right? So one is our people, our employees. Second will be our users, the ones that are using our cashback app. And third will be our clients. And I think a lot of times where during these tough times, companies are trying to be more lean and more efficient and making the company more agile in a way, right? But one of the key realizations that we have as a company is that cost cutting is not always the way. We need to look at what initiatives that can still improve and impact positively to the 3 stakeholders of Snapcart's environment, right? So that's why at Snapcart, we always believe that automation will bring that impact to employee in a way, because that means that we need more resources to help us automate our processes. The automation will bring a way for us to give more rewards for our users, because then we allow users to upload any receipts that they have, not just grocery receipts, but also even when they fill in gasoline, when they buy clothes, when they buy food, and so on and so on. Plus, of course, the services that we're going to bring to our clients will be much more substantial than before, because we have more data points coming from users, right? So we do put 3 principles in this. So first principle is to creatively position our services as a street smart way for clients to optimize their spend. Second is, of course, let's see what are the costs that we need to cut to the bone. Things that are not necessary. So it may improve the operation, but it's not needed. We can still use free versions, for example, subscription-wise. And then third, which is more important, is to double down on key investments that we can see to help boost our revenue, boost our proposition, and improve our bottom line, right? And the way we see it is we actually see a reduction up to even 80% of our cost cuts through the automation, instead of just blindly cut our employees. That gives maybe 25% of cost efficiencies. Plus, of course, we're providing more values and more impacts to employees, users, and brands. So that's what we do.
That's terrific. Keeping the wheels of commerce turning in Indonesia, right, and helping consumers actually get sort of squeak by during this moment of financial hardship. Okay, we have about 2.5 minutes left. Richard, last but not least, share us a story of impact.
So I have 2 that I'd like to share. One is the foundation that we run. We've been doing a feeding program in schools for some of the less fortunate children that live in the Philippines. And for some of these children, the reason they go to school is more to get fed and get the nutrition they need than actually get the education. Obviously, with COVID, all that stopped overnight. So there was not just a lack of education problem, there was a lack of nutrition and the ability for some of these kids to get fed. So the team did an amazing job to turn the entire program that we've been running for a few years around and actually get supply packages to children who were living on the streets of some in Manila, and be able to support them over the last few months, continuing to get fed. So that was one that's been very close to my heart. And again, in turbulent times, you can make these things happen. The second was another great company where I'm involved with, a company called Uploan. They provide financial services to employees of all different categories across the Philippines. One of the things they noticed is, as well as financial services, one of the challenges they had is not all the employees of these companies had COVID health insurance. It only was applicable to some employees. So what they did is they went above and beyond, and they started offering free to all these employees COVID healthcare. And again, looking after many people that were less fortunate, hardworking, and being able to cover them if, and in the case they get COVID. So 2 examples of, I think, great things that I've seen happening over the last few months.
These are such terrific stories. I'll have to say I'm very proud of you, Endeavor entrepreneurs, because you're doing exactly what's been asked of you, right? Which is to pay it forward. We have exactly 34 seconds left, so I think I'm being asked to wrap this up. So first of all, thank you, Gibran, Ray, and Richard, for sharing your stories of being crazy and having impact. I do think, from where I sit, that it's clear that being crazy and having impact are, all part and parcel of what it means to be a good leader, especially in a time of crisis. So to end, I will share a quote from a book which Richard may have read, I don't know, back in his youth. The Count of Monte Cristo, right? And this is a man who lost everything and then gained it all back, right? And I think it's a very apt description or reflection on how to be a leader in turbulent times. So I'll close with this. And here he's talking to his young son. Life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when the storm comes. And with that, we will close. Thank you again very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.